i.e., what's really going on, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at Litecoin, LTC against USDT on the Binance chart. I'm going to be taking a look at the technical aspects of price action moving forward. Some key levels I believe we're going to be interacting with. We're going to get a breakdown of what appears to be some kind of exhaustion up at this the top of this uptrend here. As we consolidate, we're interacting with some key resistance at the moment. There's lots of pivotal factors going on here. Jumping right into it. To recap this uptrend here since the end of October of 2020, we've been interacting with this trend line that I believe has supported the uptrend up until now. As we've been pumping since this kind of pump here, since I guess the 20th of October in 2020, we're up over 300% in 171 days, which is quite significant in a very short amount of time, relatively, in my opinion. This does require, I believe, some more cooling off, but we seem to be printing some pretty unique patterns here. There's kind of a lot going on. There's a lot of indecision, and the trajectory of Litecoin, I believe, has to be kind of further determined based on current price action. So after these kind of pumps and these rallies, we tend to have some sideways, obviously, as we get rejected. There's almost a month of sideways kind of thing. After we were rejected off of $94, we swung up to $94 there, dipped all the way back down to 60 something there, $65, and then we swung all the way up to $92.93, which is a technical lower high from the $94, which was short-term bearish, causing another pullback. Printed a higher low relative to the $64 swing low. $69 was the new support, and we eventually bounced. Interacting with the $116 resistance there, broke it, came up, reestablished it as support after getting rejected off of the $185 swing high near $177 resistance, came all the way back down to $116, so big rejection there. The dip was bought up quickly, and we consolidated downward for a little over a month. Finally, in this most recent price action, we've been rejected off of the $247 swing high. Came all the way down to $153, which is a rather significant 37% kind of pullback over the course of a week. That dip was bought up, and then we rallied, printed a lower high, short-term bearish lower high, around $230. Significantly less than the 7.5%, almost 7.36%, less than the swing high back in February, the 20th of February there, that brought us to 244. We got rejected, short-term bearish, consolidated sideways, printed a higher low at around $168 there, higher than 153. Rallied up again, but we seem to be interacting with another key resistance here. We have printed what seems to be yet another lower high relative to the $245 swing high here back in February, and these lower highs I believe to be short-term bearish in my opinion. I believe some downside is to be expected and some sideways is to be expected. I would not be surprised if we kind of stay between pretty much like 200 and like 230 for like a week or so before we kind of continue. But there are some very unique patterns printing here, and there's lots kind of going on. We, if you consider the trend line from 22nd of October 2020, we are interacting with resistance. Now this now is becoming resistance so far. We're interacting with the bottom of that trend line. So what was supporting us all the way up is now seeming to be resistance. But in this new trend line from the swing high back in February to the swing high in the middle of March there, I drew this sort of descending trend line, creating what appears to be like a descending triangle kind of thing. We're now broken up. We appear to be coming down to retest it, but with this tight range that we're in here, I believe perhaps further retesting of this descending kind of trend line here would be more short-term bullish, and I believe we're going to have some sideways. But there is also some very high volatility, and this pattern we are printing does seem to be could be considered quite bullish if we were to keep closing kind of above this kind of key level here, above $220 in my opinion. Now, when we turn on EngineeringRobo, we see a new perspective come into play. We have tons of these nice bullish buy signals, sell signals before the sell-offs and consolidation. So we have the buy for moon back in the 21st of October there. Cloud buy shortly after, supporting the uptrend fully. We rallied up, had the sell for before some consolidation. Traded sideways, buy for, pumped again, super sell, sideways, sell for. Super buy for, came back, pumped sideways, super sell 4, big sell off trader, lots of traders taking profit. There are plenty of short to mid-term Litecoin holders that are taking profits at their key levels, but these dips are being bought up very aggressively, and the long-term fundamental for Litecoin still seems to be bullish, and we still seem to be in an uptrend. We're nowhere near all-time highs yet, so we still have some room to go, I believe. Now, we do have a buy 4 printing back in 2nd of April there, before kind of a dip. That was a perfect dip to buy. If you bought that dip, you made, like say you bought the dip after the buy 4, and you traded to that swing high, you would have made 24 cents, 24%. But if you traded to current percentages, you're up 14% in a week, which is, still gains. Now, with this buy 4, this does suggest that bullish pressure and buy pressure is coming into the market again, and an uptrend could be continuing. But there are some conflicting technicals here that could be contradictory to each other and could cause for some weird price action, in my opinion. Now, so we seem to be printing from like this kind of rally here. If I were to draw something like that, this does seem to be a W pattern, which I believe to be quite bullish. This could be a very bullish breakout. This could be, a new bottom relatively for Litecoin. We have been trading sideways in this crazy range of flipping $164 to $246. We have been in that zone for almost 2 months, realistically. So a breakout, I believe, is imminent. Perhaps some further downside and consolidation downwards might be necessary for the price action to continue upward. But after gains like this and this type of tight consolidation pattern, I believe lots of indecision in the market currently. But long term, we could definitely be heading to higher highs and perhaps new all-time highs. But in the kind of mid to short term here, I suspect some sort of bearish consolidation if we don't just spike immediately above the $247 resistance there and we start closing above it. What Litecoin likes to do is kind of rally up, and after having these very aggressive dips, to continue to rally, like after when we printed this very minor technical lower high back in November, and between November and December there, we traded sideways, but we eventually continued to break upward. This pattern is kind of an M pattern, a little different than the W pattern, but that still ended up being bullish and broke up. Now we seem to be forming what appears to be the W pattern, and which could be quite bullish and very explosive for us in the upcoming kind of near future here. The buy 4 suggests buy pressure coming in, but we're interacting with a technical resistance, and we're above support in this very tight range, so I would not be surprised if we stay sideways, if not trade downward for a bit, before we kind of continue. Now, if we consider the price of Litecoin against the price of Bitcoin, we see lots going on here still. We have some nice support kind of along this level as Bitcoin was figuring itself out. We were able to kind of gain and stay relative to it, found support along the 32.95 Satoshi kind of level there. We've been pumping since 31st of March against Bitcoin. We now see this rejection off of 41.28 Satoshi kind of thing, looking like we're going to come back down to 37.30, which was significant resistance between 23rd of February and the 13th of March in 2021. So lots of things going on here. If we turn on EngineeringRobo, we see a new perspective come into play along with this Fibba Illuminati lines, Fibonacci. I'm quite a fan of Fibonacci. I very much enjoy the forecast you can get kind of from it, and I really like how price action interacts with Fibonacci lines. The look back on my Fibonacci lines are 610. That's how much data is incorporated in here. 610 is a Fibonacci number. It only makes sense to use a Fibonacci number when you're using Fibonacci levels, in my opinion. Now, when we assess the current buy signals present, we have the buy 4 and moon coming back. We had the buy 4 moon, sell 4 hell kind of been flipping in this range as Bitcoin has been kind of figuring itself out. Litecoin has kind of been remaining bullish and instead holding its value kind of against Bitcoin. But we are interacting with the bottom of this 200 moving average. This is a 200 daily moving average at this point in time. Just above that is the 0.786 Fibonacci level around 4280 Satoshi. And I believe until we can start closing above this 200 moving average against Bitcoin, can we start gaining against Bitcoin? I suspect some kind of further sideways. I want to see some support along 3720 Satoshi, in my opinion. I want to see some support along there, some retests, confirmation of, bullish pressure coming into the market. There's lots of volume in these kind of 3 candles here between the 5th of April and kind of 6th, 4th and 6th of April. Kind of there's a lot of volume coming in. So the bullishness of Litecoin is still present, is still ever abundant, but the technicals are suggesting some downside, some further consolidation, and some more wiggle room to kind of figure out where the next support is. But like Litecoin does have a habit of bouncing off of a significant support line once it determines it wants to. But overall, still relatively bullish on Litecoin. But at the moment, I do believe I am short-term bearish, and I do believe some more consolidation is required to further the uptrend before we kind of continue to gain against Bitcoin. Now, returning back to Litecoin against USDT, if we consider the Fibba Versace levels and the fear and FOMO zone, let me just scroll out so they can draw. Now, we are interacting with these key levels quite nicely, I believe. Personally, I see, we got resistance around 247. That's that swing high, relative swing high. Once we start opening and closing above that level, I believe we can then kind of take off, skyrocket. Now, if we continue to print lower highs and say we get rejected off of this $230 swing high, that would be a very good confirmation of some bearish consolidation to occur. Say we consolidate down this trend line, before kind of taking off, reaching higher highs kind of thing. Now, I like consolidation. I like dips. I like reaccumulation. I believe, like I said, I keep saying that's just healthy for the uptrend. Every up has a down. Every down has an up. Pullbacks are required. But there's lots going on in the market. We are very sideways, very indecisive. If we are still nowhere near the FOMO zone here, still a good like over $200 away from the FOMO zone, a good 79%, 80% away from the FOMO zone here. So I believe once prices interact with that level, I suspect a rather aggressive sell-off and pullback. But if say we started closing above that 430, 450, we could have a volatile spike upward to perhaps like 500 before we have the sell-off. But I do suspect once we interact with that zone, Litecoin is going to be very, very sideways for a prolonged amount of time with some very aggressive pullbacks and sell-offs. Now, if we take a look at Bitcoin here against the US dollar tether on the Binance chart, tons going on Bitcoin, very sideways, very indecisive. Bitcoin does not like to be sideways whatsoever. So there's as these new traders are coming in taking profit, get the sell for hell just for that dip to be well bought up, rounded out. Super buy for moon, all coming in as we thought we were going to take off and continue skyrocketing. See the old 100k, 75k level, big old resistance around 62k. We've just been slapped and spit on by 62k for quite some time now. Rallied all the way down to 50k, bought right back up, interacted with some crazy resistance around 60k yet again, and then we seem to be kind of making our way down. I mean, I do like this this kind of candle here. This counteracted the candle prior to it, and it looks quite bullish, but there is still a sell for present on the daily chart. So perhaps some more sideways could occur. This does seem to be an ascending triangle, so I believe a break upward is imminent. Long term, Bitcoin is going up 100%, but we are up a lot in a very, very, very short amount of time. Bitcoin was 20k not that long ago, and since the beginning of this year we are up a lot. And so this sideways, this reaccumulation, this consolidation, I believe is very, very healthy, very bullish for Bitcoin. If we were to see a rejection off of this 62 kind of level here, if we print a lower high, we could very well come all the way back down to the high 40Ks there, which would be ultimately nothing for Bitcoin. I believe that would be still quite bullish. That would be a great time to be accumulating. The long term for Bitcoin is ever so bullish, but in the short term, some downside, some reaccumulation, consolidation is very much healthy and very much needed, in my opinion. Thank you for hearing my analysis. Try EngineeringRobo, free, link in the description. Tune in for the next one.